Hello.
Good morning.
Nice to see you again. I checked the recording and we are good to go. So everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about cutting the clutter from our lives. And today, I am thrilled and excited to connect you with Madeline Eyer. She is the author of several books. One in particular is Essential Green Smoothies, and we're going to be talking about everything diet and cutting the clutter and organization and why we believe that they go hand in hand. They're very reciprocal offerings. And she is also running consciouslyraw.com, where she teaches people how to live a more authentic life through raw food. And she is also a certified raw food coach. So welcome so much. Thank you for interviewing with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's great. It's good to see you.
I know, it's good to see you too. So we've recently connected through my publisher. He has a boot camp that he teaches others. You know, if they're passionate about writing a book, he helps them along in this journey. And so we're sitting together, and all of a sudden I see this beautiful face, and she's like, Kammie, don't you remember me? And I'm like, yes, I do. You were the lady that hired me a few years ago that had this beautiful home and was super organized. And I'm thinking, well, what does she need my help with? So yes, it was so fun to connect with you again. And I wanted to ask you, you know, why raw food, and what brought your passion about in that?
So for me, it's been a journey of healing, and raw food was a missing piece for me because a lot of the physical experiences that I was having were related to diet and nutrition. And even though I thought I was eating well, I came to realize early on that that wasn't necessarily the case. But, you know, it's a journey to evolve your diet as you go along. And it just got to a point where I was so exhausted that my body was really depleted and I wasn't absorbing the nutrients. You know, it's a whole cascade of events. And so up-leveling my diet with as much raw and living food as I could get into it made such a difference for me in my own health that I couldn't help but share the word, you know. It's just
yeah. Absolutely. I know that, you know, it's something personally that I struggle with diet in particular. It's something that I did not have a lot of education around growing up. And also, you know, I've been a dancer my whole life. And then I started this business. And so you would think that dancing and fitness and nutrition kind of go hand in hand, but they don't at all, in my experience. You're dancing so much that you forget to eat and you're not feeling your body correctly. And so it's always been this vicious cycle. And I do know that when I am on track and making my green smoothies and simplifying my diet, the results and how I feel is amazing.
It makes such a huge difference. I can't say enough about what it has done for me and those I have worked with to help change their diet. And it's so connected to organizing in so many ways. It's really interesting because the cleaner you start to eat and the more raw living food you put into your body, that ripples out into every aspect of your life. And I remember when I first started this journey, I just started cleaning out cupboards and drawers because my environment had to match my inner state. And as that was purging and cleansing organically because of the healthy food that I was being nourished with, I just was clearing stuff out like crazy. It just happened, you know, all on its own.
Well, I love that you said that because I was actually going to ask you what would be the first step to kind of clearing out and, okay, I want to be more healthy. I want to be more conscious about what I'm putting into my body. What would be the first step? And so you're saying just clear out those cupboards in that fridge.
Absolutely. That helps to not be tempted to eat things that you're not going to want to put into your body, and to just start incorporating more raw and living food into your diet. And I'm not advocating that everybody become a raw foodist. You know, I don't even like giving titles like that. But I haven't met a person who couldn't benefit from adding more real food into their diet.
Well, we all know that that's something we should be doing, you know, fruits and veggies, and having, we all have that common knowledge. And I think that, you know, putting certain things into place help. For me, when I go to a client's home where they live their truth with nutrition and their environment, I always see fresh food on out and about. Like, they have, you know, nuts and fruits and things just ready to go and snack on, and I loved that idea. I don't have that in my home right now, and I'm thinking that would be one little thing that I can do to implement in my home. So what are, say, 3 things that we could focus on to be more organized with living a more nutritious lifestyle?
Well, being prepared, obviously, you just said that. Having those things on hand that are going to nourish you. Not only when you're at home, but when you're traveling. I just came back from a trip. I was in Denver, and I brought few things in my suitcase that I knew would benefit me to have. And then I took a short Lyft ride to the local healthy grocery store and brought in some fresher things that weren't so easy to transport. And so I could eat healthy on the go. You know, keep snacks in your car. So, you know, having everything at hand, that is probably the biggest tip I can give you.
That's
so you're
huge.
Prepared. Yeah. And when you go to a restaurant, you know, making wise choices, get the dressing on the side and know what's in it, because they sneak a lot of, you know, not so healthy ingredients in some of that stuff.
Yes, I know, it's so true. And then, you know, one thing that I had done Weight Watchers for a while, and not just to lose weight, that was not the goal of it, but it was really just being conscious about doing a food log. And I thought it was really silly at first, but then you start to realize, like, oh my gosh, I would have eaten this, or I would have done this. And all of those little things add up, those little steps or those little choices over a period of time. And I love that your website is so beautiful, and it matches your book as well. And I love that it's the conscious part of it, because I think that, and maybe you can speak to this too, that when we get so over-consumed in our lives that we become unconscious. All of a sudden, we're just functioning in the dysfunction. And so just taking a moment to be conscious about your environment, to be conscious about your nutrition. Why was that so important for you to bring that into your philosophy?
Because it's all connected. I couldn't separate them if I wanted to. You know, if you're eating consciously, then by extension, you're going to live consciously and make choices that are conscious. It's a way of being that permeates you, permeates me. And I think as people, food to me is a backdoor into a higher consciousness. I see it that way. And so you're either contributing to a higher consciousness for yourself and your life, or you're doing the opposite by default. So you think about dead food, you know, that doesn't have a whole lot of life to it. And what will that do to you over time? And I'm not saying don't eat cooked food, of course. You know, I enjoy soup and, you know, baked potatoes and things like that, but it's all about how conscious you are about what you're choosing to put into your body.
And what do you feel that routine also does to the consciousness of it? Because, again, to kind of keep us on that path, do you find that having a routine helps?
It does. I mean, we start every morning with our lemon water, you know, fresh squeezed lemon water, and either a green smoothie or a smoothie bowl, and just mix up all kinds of delicious, healthy ingredients. We pick our own berries in the summer and freeze them for the winter, so we know where they're coming from. And that's part of the consciousness piece too, you know, to work with local farmers and get your produce locally and contribute to a better way of being, you know, on the planet. And that's part of our routine. We go to the farmers market every Saturday, and we connect with the same farmers, and you know, we get our produce from them and use that in our meals. And it's really important. And
just that picture that you painted is so beautiful. Like, if I could imagine I always, challenge people to think of, what would your ideal day look like? What would your ideal life look like? Mine would be exactly that. I would drive up to the Ballard Farmers Market and I would listen to the music and watch people and get my food from the same people every week that are local. And I love that you speak that truth to it, because simplifying your life, you get so much more richness out of it by cutting the clutter. And I love that you incorporated this conscious piece of it, because it does permeate to everything else. And I just love that ideal picture that you painted. That's such a beautiful practice that you've implemented. And so what, besides, I guess, living organized obviously is important, but we're kind of chunking it down to the real nuts and bolts of life, right? So for somebody who is maybe not aware of a conscious lifestyle, the first step you would say is just to become aware of how you feel in your body. A lot of people don't even take that one moment to say, like this morning, I woke up with this rash everywhere, and I have a photo shoot this afternoon, and I'm thinking, what did I, I'm trying to backtrack, what did I do? And growing up, I would have just went to Rite Aid and put some rash cream all over me. And so it's so beneficial. The conscious part of all of this is huge. So thank you for bringing that to light.
Yeah, whatever shows up in your body is generally in your energy field before it reaches your body. So if you can catch your thoughts and you can catch it there, you can perhaps ward off having to deal with the uncomfortable symptoms, and experience that comes with having something land in your body, like a rash or whatever it is.
Absolutely. And everything is energy. So when you talked about going to the market and you're making that emotional connection to somebody you now know that is growing your food and how they grow it, it's all a vibrational energy. And there's science to this as well. And I believe that just the same as with your diet, so should be your environment. And so what is something that you would advocate for, say, in the kitchen area? Let's talk about the clutter maybe in the kitchen zone and some things that you would give advice on there.
Yeah, well, staying organized is of the utmost importance, because it prevents you from buying things that you already have hidden in the back of the cupboard. How many times, I'm guilty of that. I've done that a couple of times, where I've had something and it got stashed in the back, and I thought I had it, I couldn't find it, went out and bought more, or had to make a different recipe because I couldn't find what I was looking for. And that'll help you remember to get organized pretty quickly again and pull the cupboard apart and redo it in an organized fashion. And, to keep your spices fresh and organized, because they go stale after a while. Avoiding clutter on the counter. I keep my blender there because I use it all the time, but there's not a whole lot you'll find on my counter on a regular basis. Because there's just no need to have it there. To me, it's clutter. But if I open up the cupboard and I can see I have all my nuts, and I have beans and seeds and stuff in jars. In the summertime, the nuts and seeds are in the refrigerator because they just last longer that way. Or if I'm planning to keep them for a while, they'll go in there so they don't get rancid. But just organized.
I love that. And so I've organized many of kitchens, and one thing that I see among clients, there are kind of two scenarios, and one being that people say they love to cook, right? And then they have everything that Pampered Chef could possibly have to offer, and they are like trying to pull a drawer open. So they're collectors of the items. They're consuming. And one thing that I try to advocate for, just like you said, is always keeping the counter space as clean as possible. But those frequently used items you want in what I call your prime real estate spots that are easily accessible. But what would you give advice to on, and I ask for me personally, because keeping that routine is I have such a challenge with it, because I never know where I'm going to be from one day to the next, and I travel a lot. What could be some easy systems, like you said, keeping snacks in the car? I love that. I started doing that. But what would be some easy things that I could keep on hand that would fuel me through the day that you really believe are essential for your everyday lifestyle?
Well, definitely nuts and seeds are easy to travel with. You can buy them in bulk and put them in little packets. A lot of stores, though, do sell packets, quick and easy snacks like kale chips, and some of the bars are better than others, like read the labels, read the ingredients carefully. Nut butter, if you're just going to be running out and you want to take something with you, little hummus packs are good. They're easy to deal with. You mentioned Pampered Chef. They have, and I don't work for them, this is not an advertisement.
I don't either.
They have this plastic salad jar to go that's BPA free, which I recommend. And you put your salad in a jar. You can even get it together the night before and put all the ingredients in there. And there's a separate space at the top to put your dressing or other things if you want to add. Or you can just add the dressing at the bottom and then shake it later. You can just set that in advance and go. If you're going to be running out in the morning, and if it's a matter of making a healthy choice or not, you can make your green smoothie and leave it in the fridge and have it to go. For me, I prefer mine fresher, but if it's a choice of not having it, I will definitely make it in advance.
I love that. I'm going to definitely take that as a quote, because if you have the choice, make it a healthy choice.
Yes.
We have millions of choices to make all day long, but if you just stop and say, is this a healthy choice? That's going to stop me from driving through taco time a lot.
Yeah, chia seeds are another one. They're so filling. They blow up. They absorb moisture at a high rate. And so throw a few of those on your salad or even in your smoothie. When they get in your stomach, they expand. They'll keep you fuller, longer. They also have protein in them, which also will help to keep your blood sugar even and keep you fuller longer and satiated. So that's another healthy choice.
I absolutely love
my trip to Denver, I had a big bag of chia seeds and protein powder and stuff.
My massage therapist was just telling me about how she soaked the chia seeds and she made this kind of like little pudding overnight. So I mean, the word is getting out about these healthy choices, and I know one thing that you love, especially in your green smoothie recipes and that, but you also have a simple dressing that is super easy. Would you mind sharing that with us as like a good go-to all-around dressing? Because I found that it's interesting that you did smoothies and dressings in that. So why dressings?
Well, there are two books. It's Essential Green Smoothies and Essential Sauces, Dips, and Dressings.
Yeah.
And so I've broken them up in that way. And to me, everything tastes better with a great sauce or a great dressing. I mean, that can make a dish. It can take something that's very bland, and if you add a lot of flavor, it's just going to really up-level whatever you're having. So my mom was Italian, so I've got that Italian thing going on. I'm from New York originally, even though I live in Seattle now. And I just go for the Italian spices. Give me some good quality olive oil, real olive oil. And there's a lot of fake stuff out there. So check your sources. And some vinegar, and I mix those up. I'll use apple cider vinegar. Sometimes that's super healthy for the gut. Or my Italian roots will come in, and I'll go for the red wine vinegar. Sometimes a little balsamic. Mix it up, a little pink sea salt, and just a teaspoon of Italian herbs. You get dried Italian herbs, or if you have some fresh, chop those up and put them in. And it couldn't be simpler.
I know, it just seems simple and beautiful, because you just have a couple ingredients, you whisk it together, there you go, rather than here's a craft bottle of dressing. And I guess it is the conscious element of it. Like, am I being conscious with choices, and not just food choices, but every day is, and this is something that is the Japanese art of tea, and they have these little rituals that I never really appreciated or understood until I became more conscious about my lifestyle. That, you know, now I moved back to the farm and I am trying to create this little world and life, and what does that look like? And so something that I've been doing every morning is giving myself time, like actually giving it to myself to say, hey, I'm going to wake up at this time. My routine is I make a cup of coffee, and the cup that I'm using is going to be my cute little font. Like, I took time and investment to make that one little cup. And so you're being conscious and intentional about all these choices, and the vibration of that, it becomes massive. And like you said, you've really healed yourself by using these methods.
Yeah, and you know, there are so many other choices too, like pure water. Our water has fluoride in it, you know, that's being put in there, and there are heavy metals and all kinds of things that come through it. And fluoride, for example, sits on the pineal gland. It collects there. Well, the pineal gland is your spiritual antenna.
Oh, really? Wow.
You don't want to have fluoride collecting there. So in fact, we just, we have piecemeal filters around the house, but we just invested in a whole house system and are anxiously awaiting the plumber to come and install that.
I need to look into this, because at the farm, you know, we're old school and we have a well. And I actually told my grandmother last night, and I'm so proud of her too, because once you become aware and conscious, the natural thing to do is to share it with people that you love. And I'm sure you've touched so many lives by doing this, not just with your book, but with the people around you that know and love you as well. And I shared this with my grandma about water last night too. I said, Grandma, you know, I have to let the water run in my shower, and it's like rusty, you know, for a moment. And my hairdresser is like, Kammie, I'm putting all this effort into your hair, is beautiful, and I can tell that you have rust in your water. I'm like, what do I do about that? You know, so just being conscious and being aware of, hey, there's heavy metals in your water. This could contribute to so many health factors. So what would you recommend in a situation like that? You just said you made this whole investment with your water system.
Yeah, well, you can, you know, it's a matter of your budget. You can get a small shower filter. They're pretty good and they're reasonably priced, maybe about $100. You can get one that just screws on. They usually come with a shower head, so you take off the shower head that's up there and put the filter on. Sometimes you can reattach your own head, say like if you have a massage head that you want, it will often fit right in there. And so those filters have to be changed about every 6 months, but it will take out a lot of the chlorine and junk. That might be a simple solution to make a difference.
So would you say the first step is maybe having your water treated and seeing what's in it? What can we do to, you know, water's in, we shower, we brush our teeth, we cook with it, we drink it. I mean, if you think of your skin as your largest organ, well, water is the largest consumption that we have. It's pretty important to figure out what is in it.
Yes, you can have it tested. I did have the city come out and test the water because of the chlorine and the fluoride. I was concerned about what those levels were, and he told me because we're on city water, we're at the end of the line, and so it shouldn't be as bad, and yet still the fluoride was a little bit above what the recommended dose was. And to me, I don't think there's any safe amount of fluoride that should ever be recommended. It's a neurotoxin. They have no business putting it in our water, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I love it. So how do people get more, are there documentaries that you watch that you think, that's a good one? Start with that.
Oh gosh, there are so many. I have a few on my website that I listed that we've watched off the top of my head.
And that's consciouslyraw.com. You have your website is gorgeous. I'm looking at it right now, and you have so much available content. It's amazing. So thank you for sharing that with everybody. But yeah, I think documentaries, especially now, education is so at our fingertips, whether it's, online or through these documentaries. I had never been exposed to such knowledge about health and wellness in general. It just wasn't, you kind of had what you had and you made do. And but we're finding that people are getting sick. Your energy is being drained. There's so many negativities within our nutrition element and lifestyle and in our environments that are making us sick. And I think overall that is the importance of cutting the clutter from your life and re-examining, this is my life. I only get one go around. What do I need to be conscious about? What choices can I make to make this my very best life? And to live more fully with less. It's not about the stuff. And I think that for some people and clients that I've worked with, it's the stuff, the Pampered Chef, I'm sorry I'm slamming Pampered Chef. I think they're wonderful, but there's some people that get addicted to the stuff of cooking, and it's really about less and intentional is what I'm hearing from you. And I think that's a very beautiful message.
I think part of it is too, I heard somebody make a statement recently, and it's so true. We spend the first half of our lives accumulating stuff and the second half getting rid of it. And, that second half, I'm 62 years old. And so, I want less. So, yeah.
And you're looking fabulous. See, and I'm 31, and, I've had the business now for 10 years. And truly, writing this book has made me refocus my life. I thought I was very organized and doing very well, very conscious about everything, intentional. But yeah, I found myself in this rat race and truly taking care of everything else but me, and my life was not simplified. And so I re-examined things to say, okay, what is really important? Cutting the clutter. I can't write a book about this unless I'm living my truth, which I am, but there's still every facet you could look at and say, what can I modify? What can I do differently? And especially for us women, our bodies are changing, life changes, and if we're not conscious about it, it can really get out of hand.
And it's a process, so it's important to remember to be kind to ourselves when we do identify those areas that might not be up to the level at which we'd like to see them.
I like that.
So just to have the awareness of, okay, I'd like to see this differently, and take steps to make that happen. And then one change leads to another. Many small changes will definitely have a huge effect. But it's being kind to yourself is the most important thing. Because we can look and say, compare. Comparison is such a killer. We compare ourselves to others and their life, and everything looks so together. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors there. They got their own stuff they're dealing with. We all do.
It is so, I love that you said that as well, and just being kind to yourself is something I'm always reminding my grandmother, because her self-talk has improved, but it was so bad, and it's something I noticed of her, and I'm like, I tell her now, stop talking to my grandma that way, I don't like that, and she giggles, but she's becoming more self-aware. And I think that women have this idea, especially in society, about what our homes should look like, what our bodies should look like, at what age, and how we dress. There's just so much clutter. And I know, again, from my dance background, I did Seagulls for a year, and it really just tore me apart, to be honest. And you're never blonde enough, skinny enough, your boobs are never big enough. Nothing was ever enough, and nothing was ever done properly. And so that really can take a toll away from your passion, and you start to kind of chip away at yourself. And I think that positive reinforcement that you're talking about, being kind with yourself to say, hey, I didn't make the best choices around this today, but here are a few things that I can do tomorrow about it.
Yeah, you always get, every moment is a new opportunity to make a different choice.
Ooh, I like that.
Hindsight is 2020. You can't go back, but you can learn from the choices you made and make improved choices.
It is true. I love that.
It's a process. We are works in progress.
We are. And so is there anything that you would like to share, final thought, final note for anyone who is watching us today or listening? You know, how can we cut the clutter from our lives? What benefit is it going to bring into our life? What message would you leave with them?
Well, I would start in the kitchen because of the profound effect that has had for me on my life and the life of my husband. And just by up-leveling your diet, by adding in more healthy, nutritious foods and doing away with those prepackaged, preservative-laden choices, you will see a difference in how that impacts all the other areas of your life. It's just a natural progression. So, yeah, just start there. Add a green smoothie to your morning. You know, have an apple for a snack. Just simple things.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing this with me today, because it is something that is not only heavy on my part, but it is a challenge for me to implement these healthy things. And it really does come down to self-care and kindness. And I think that in the busyness of life, it is so easy to just be frustrated with yourself. And, you know, when I see myself reaching for, it's true, every time I eat out of a bag, several times a day in my car, I'll be at Met Market, I'll have to run in and eat in my car, and I'm thinking, just being conscious of Kammie, you are literally eating from a bag and you're not even at a table.
Yeah, probably looking on your cell phone device too, right? Do an email.
Right, and it's just being aware of that, and that you really truly have a healthy choice to make, and you just need to make more of those over time to have this, I don't know if I would call it balance, but enhancement, like you said.
Well, anything you can do to bring more balance to your life will have a huge result overall, for sure.
Absolutely.
And that's good awareness that you have about some of the choices you've made, and you can do what you can to make different choices, right?
Yes. So one final question for you, because I love this conversation. Can you tell me about a client story, something that you were able to shift for somebody just using your methods and some simple things that you implemented for him or her that really made that shift, that conscious shift?
Probably the biggest shift happened in our own home with my husband, if I may talk about him.
Yeah.
Just when I hope it's okay with him, I think it will be. And we met, you know, he was used to eating shredded wheat and non-fat milk and all of these foods that were Trader Joe's frozen entrees, because he was a single guy, you know, and that's what single guys do. And
single girls.
So to be able to introduce the smoothies in the morning and have him ask for those now, you know, and see the vitality that has come to him as a result of eating that way, and have him request just healthy foods. I mean, that's what he asked me for. You know, this morning it was an acai bowl. Will you make me an acai bowl? And those, I don't know if you ever had one. It's like a frozen smoothie in a bowl.
Mm.
So this one had spinach, and acai is a frozen berry. You can get it in PCC, or most health food stores have it. And some frozen banana, and I put in there spirulina, which is very detoxifying to the body. Because I believe people are ill because they are deficient and they're toxic, right? Toxicity and deficiency are the two main causes of health. So when you eat in a way that supports natural detoxification, you're not only nourishing your body, but it's helping to clear out the toxins. But anyway, sorry, that's a little sideline.
No, I love this.
But it's just been amazing to me. He like shakes his head. It's like, I can't believe I used to eat that. And the whole system, the way it's set up, is to promote these foods that are not really foods. We're so overfed in this country, but the nourishment is really lacking.
Or the companies behind. I was trying to think of one documentary that I've watched hundreds, I feel like, around food and the industry of food. And I think that's where in our country things have really gone crazy. Is I remember watching this piece on, I think it was dairy, and how the marketing behind dairy and the FDA and all this business came, and how they weaved their way to say, you know, it's good for you, and the marketing and the education that was pushed for certain products. If you really break it down, the business wasn't behind vegetables. You know, the business was behind dairy and cheeses and meats that produce these fast food companies, and so it's really kind of gone astray. But you go to these other countries. Another documentary that I watched, I think he's really radical. Man, I got to think of his name. Michael Moore. And I really enjoy him. And he goes to these other countries for what they're feeding their kids at school lunches.
Yes, Where Do We Invade Next? That was the name of that movie. Right? But it was to steal their good ideas. It wasn't what it seemed like we were going to war.
Right. No, it was amazing, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how crazy wrong we're doing some things. And nutrition is so huge, and I think that when you get older, you're starting to crave different things because your body is changing. And cutting the clutter from the aspect of maybe just saying, yes, I'm going to make this healthy choice, but I'm no longer going to eat out of a bag. If you just think about that, you know, these little things.
There are people that do that. They're like zero waste people. They will not eat anything that comes from a package or any kind of a container. I would have difficulty with that if I went to get a juice, for example. You know, it comes in a glass, but I could probably be trained to bring my own cup.
Yeah, and that's taking it to a whole new level, and I have such a respect for people that some people think that it is extremism, you know, if they do all raw food or veganism. Really, I think they're advocating for something greater. Yes, it is extreme, but if you really think about life, and take the business out of it, you get down to these very simple fundamentals of living, which is so beautiful and simple. So I really love that.
When you honor your values and your body, you know, you make choices from that place. And that's why self-love is so important. It comes right down to that. All the choices you make. You can only give as much love as you have. And it starts with you.
I love that. That's going to be a huge chunk of what we talk about, because that's something I truly, truly believe, is that when I've gone into these homes over the last decade, and I'm talking more on an extreme end of things, but the common thread is I'm so busy. I'm just too busy. I'm too busy. I can't do this. I'm too busy. But what they're really saying is I don't care. I don't care that it's like this because I'm doing these other things. And when you start to care about how you show up, how you feel, what your home feels like, all those things come to support you.
Yeah, it is about your priorities for sure, and how much you do love yourself, and how much you think you're worthy and deserving.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Madeline. It was so wonderful having this conversation with you. And for everyone that is tuning in, you can always get more at organizingexperts.com. Thank you so much, and until next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.